Here we'll talk about how to submit a batch job that doesn't require more than a single core, or a serial job. To do this, we'll start with how to write a basic submission script, which will be the starting point for all other jobs as well. Then I'll show you two different ways you can submit your job, using the llsub wrapper command and using the native scheduler command sbatch. I will also show you how to incorporate scheduler flags into your submission script so you don't have to type them out at the command line. In this video, I'm going to run this Python script, top5each.py, which finds the top 5 words of each document in this data directory. Let's start with writing the submission script, sometimes called a batch script. I'll call it submit.sh. The script will mostly be the same whether the code you'd like to run is written in Python or another language. All submission scripts are bash scripts, so we'll start with this line at the top. Shebang, bin, bash. Next, we'll want to include any modules we need to run our job. Because we'd like to run Python in this job, we need to load an Anaconda module. In order to load a module in a submission script, we have to first run source etc profile. Then we can put our module load command. Module load Anaconda 2020b. At the time of recording, this is the latest Anaconda module. You should only include the modules that are needed to run your code. If you don't need any modules to run your code, you can skip this section. If there's anything else you need to run or environment variables you need to set, this is also a good place to do it. It's always best to load any modules or set any environment variables you need in your submission script. That way, you know they're always set properly during your job, and so you have a record of how you ran your job. Finally, I'm going to have the script run my Python script the same way I would from the command line. Python top5each.py. This is my completed submission script. I set up my environment to run my code, and then I run it. Now, I can submit this in two different ways. On the LLSC and Supercloud systems, I can use the llsub wrapper command. This is the first way. llsub will set some handy default flags for me. I can simply run llsub submit.sh. And now the scheduler can allocate resources for my job and run it. This output here tells us the native scheduler command llsub has put together for us when we run. Notice here is where we set the output file name. This is the file where all the output of your job will be written. Anything you'd normally see printed to the screen will show up in this file. In llsub, we set this to the name of your submission script .log, followed by this %j, which puts the job ID on at the end of the file name so you don't overwrite your log files every time you run your job. And when we take a look at llstat, you can see the job is running. Let's run ls, and here's the log file, which has our top 5 words. Now, the second way to submit a batch job is with the native scheduler command sbatch. I could simply run sbatch submit.sh. You'll see my job runs, but the output file name may not be very helpful. We can use the -o option to name our output file like the llsub command did, with sbatch -o submit.sh.log %j submit.sh. And now you see our output file is named like before. We can take this a step further and put this option in the submission script. This is how we'll request more resources in the next videos as well. Note that anytime you have scheduler options in your submission script and you submit the job with llsub instead of sbatch, llsub will see that these options are in your script and ignore any additional llsub options you use at the command line. When I open my script, I can add the following line. Hash sbatch. This looks like a comment, but it's not. -o. submit.sh.log-%j. And now, when I run sbatch submit.sh, you can see that my log file is how I specified in the script.